Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm Roland and this is the final EV weekly wrap for 2024. That's right, we're in December and I know it's the 20th as I'm recording, Friday 20th of December for the 21st of December. It is a couple of days before Christmas and the reason why this is going to be the final one realistically is because of two things. Number one, next weekend is I guess the weekend of my wedding anniversary, so I definitely don't want to be doing any of this stuff. Just want to be spending time with family. And number two is I've got quite a lot of things still in, I guess, the backlog or pipeline, for better use of words, and I want to make sure that I do focus some of the time instead of creating this type of content to finish off that content so I can upload it and share it with you guys, because I've got a whole lot of videos, I've got quite a lot of content actually that is recorded waiting for me to edit, and so I just want to kind of shift my focus a little bit as we're kind of teeing towards the end of the year, and hopefully we'll be back in the new year sometime in either late January or February to kick off this series again. But before I go on with any of the details for today, just wanted to take a moment and say thank you for everyone who has been watching every single episode, or a lot of these. A big thank you to you guys as my subscribers, and if you haven't subscribed, do consider subscribing down below. And a very, very big thank you to the channel members as well. So thank you for all of your support for this year. So we've made it, we're episode 27, almost 30 episodes for the entire year since we've kicked this off. And yeah, so this is the final one. As you guys can see on the right hand side, that's all of the manufacturers that we'll be talking to today. It is going to be the final one for 2024. Just to be clear, it's not the final video for 2024, it's just the final EV weekly wrap. So if you guys do want to see news, I'll potentially still be posting here and there through social media on X on any, I guess, key updates that I see throughout that's worthwhile. But for the most part, I'll probably keep down low. I'll start smashing out those additional videos that I'm trying to get through. And as I mentioned a while back, when I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm in the process of building a website. So yeah, need to spend some time to get through all of that, considering I do this on the side and I do have a 9-to-5 full-time job. And yeah, that's about it. There's not too much more to say. So let's get straight into the content, shall we? Alright, so first things first. Earlier on in the week, I got to go to the Xpeng Sydney Flagship Experience Centre launch. So it apparently is the first Xpeng Experience Centre in the Southern Hemisphere, and Sydney is the flagship. How fantastic is that? So yeah, if you guys haven't seen the video, I will put a link at the top, on the top right I think it is, or top left, and also included in the description below. Make sure you go check it out. It's at a fantastic location, prime location by Sydney Airport. So basically outside the domestic terminal. It's basically where the old Mercedes AMG building used to be, or the Mercedes AMG dealership. So now this is the Xpeng Flagship Experience Centre. So they are open now, so get down and have a look if you guys haven't seen. And plenty of parking on site, as you can see at the bottom of the photos over here. This is also going to be the location where you guys will be picking up your G6s if you guys are owners, and also to do the test drives. But yeah, that's about it. Big congratulations again to Xpeng and all of the people involved. It was a fantastic night, and yeah, that's about it for the news on Xpeng. So let's continue rolling through. Alright, so we've got Mini JCW, which is John Cooper Works, which is the performance section for Mini, JCW Cooper, and the Aceman EV. Now, you guys have seen I've covered this a fair bit actually over the past couple of months, from the time it was revealed overseas to the time it was confirmed for Australia, and then actually it was twice revealed overseas. One was when it was still camouflaged, and then second was the actual unveiling, and then it was confirmed for Australia. And now we have the specs and the dollar figures. So have a look over here. So unfortunately for you guys that do like rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive cars, it's not for you. They're still keeping it as a front electric motor, so it's keeping towards, I guess, the Mini heritage. 190 kilowatts, 350 Newton meters of torque, 49.2 kilowatt hour battery. In terms of the price, let's jump straight to that, to the bottom. 63,990 plus on-road costs for the Cooper, and 65,990 plus on-road costs for the Aceman. So obviously we need to add a couple of $1,000s on top for the on-road costs. 0 to 100, 5.9 versus 6.4. Now, in case you aren't too familiar with the Mini brand, the Cooper is essentially the two-door version, or three-door hatch version, which I guess if you look at the pictures, it's this bottom left one and this top right one over here. And then you've got the Aceman, which is essentially the 4 or 5 door version, so slightly bigger, which is this one here in green, in white, and in green again over here. So that's the Aceman. Now, these electric John Cooper work cars are actually based on a different platform to the petrol models, and these are produced in China as part of a joint venture between Mini's owner, which is BMW, and GWM. And the final caller, as you guys know, I love performance cars, so I always love finding 0 to 100 figures. 0 to 100 in 5.9 seconds for the Cooper and 6.4 for the Aceman. So again, not all drive, so not crazy amount in terms of power figures, and also in terms of a really good 0 to 100 time. Nonetheless, for a small car, you know, that's still quite decent. And remember, it's an EV electric car, so you do have that instant torque. But yeah, that's pretty much all the specs for everything. So we don't know when it's going to be sold locally in Australia, as in when it's going to be delivered. But from what we've heard or what I've read, sometime during Q1 2025. Just no specific accurate month in terms of those deliveries. So Q1 2025. So realistically, it could actually be a month away, but it also could be 3 months away. So watch this space. But that serves all the news for Mini. Let's keep moving on. So I want to talk about some ADR approvals now. BYD Sealion 7. You guys have been waiting for this car. So many Australians have been, especially for the people that have been talking about Sealion 6. So basically, Sealion 7 is just the EV version of the Sealion 6. Sealion 6 is just a plug-in hybrid, or PHEV. So on the screen, you'll see some dimensions, the power variants, along with some tyre options. And then on the left side, you've got here the specs from the ADR. So the long story short is, there are 2 variants that have been ADR approved. Rear-wheel drive, which you see at the top as part of the code, and then you've got an all-wheel drive over here as well. What are the differences, you may ask? So 2 key things. Maximum towing on the rear-wheel drive, 750 kilograms, 1,500 for the all-wheel drive. In terms of power, so rear-wheel drive is 230 kilowatts, rear-wheel drive on the rear motor, on the all drive variant is also the same, 230 kilowatts, but it's also got a front 160, which means a 390 kilowatt combined. And you can see that it's got 20-inch wheel tire combo on the top spec, and then the entry level is on 19s, staggered setup, 235/50 at the front, 255/45 at the rear. And yeah, in terms of size, I think I've mentioned this before, but whilst the dimensions are here, and I don't recall the specifics of the Tesla Model Y, the overall dimensions, I guess, as a competitor, is that the BYD Sealion 7 is slightly bigger than the Tesla Model Y. Now, we don't have any specific details on the battery, even though we do have the power. However, based on looking at the same specs for the Sealion 7 in the Asia market, and looking at the specific weights, so you see here the TMAS 2225 and 2340, what that references in terms of the exact kilogram versus the overseas markets is that this car will have the 82.5 kilowatt hour battery. So there is a 91, I think, off the top of my head. We definitely are not getting that, not at least as a part of these ADR approvals, because the weights are exactly the same as the 82.5 kilowatt hour battery in the Asia market. So either way, there could potentially be something else, highly unlikely, because based on those exact weights, we already know that there is a match. And yeah, so either way, that's all the BYD Sealion 7. If there's any other news, I'll let you guys know. So let's keep moving on. So I have more news on another ADR approval. This one was hot off the press. This was just, I think, earlier today or late yesterday. Skywell. So they currently make commercial cars. They're already in Australia. This is the BE11, or BE11 is actually in the home market in China, or the EVA5 or EVA5. Now, in terms of size, this again is similar to the Model Y, the Tesla Model Y, which also means, naturally, other competitors would be the Xpeng G6, the Hyundai Ioniq 5, the Kia EV6. However, in terms of price, the plan, from what they've said, is they want this car, drive away, under $50,000. That's right, under $50,000. So they're aiming for the lower end of the market in terms of price, and they want to offer, I guess, a lot for the car. So we'll have to see when the car comes here. Now, because the Skywell brand is already here with their vans or their commercial vans today in Australia, when they release these I guess, passenger type vehicles, they will continue their servicing with an existing partnership, which is, I believe, through the iCar network of workshops, which is formerly known as Kmart Tyre and Auto. So that side of things is already confirmed. Now let's look at some of the specs of the car and what I feel was a little bit odd. I won't talk through it line by line. However, there are two variations that you can see on the left hand side and the right hand side. Starting from the bottom, actually, 150 kilowatts, 72 kilowatt hour battery. So what does that mean? That means between the two variants, the motor is exactly the same, but the battery capacity, you've got a smaller one which is 72 kilowatt hours, and then you've got a larger one which is 86 kilowatt hours. So obviously meaning that if they have the same motor, it just means that you'll get more range in the second spec, or the one on the right hand side. Now, most of the other things obviously look quite similar, with exception to the weight. The one thing that I thought was very, very, very odd was, when you normally look at a vehicle and it has different variants, normally the dimensions of the car is exactly the same. However, in this one, you can see obviously the difference is in the battery capacity. The weight's slightly different, obviously, because you've got a bigger battery over here. However, the odd thing is, if you look at the vehicle length over here in this 72 kilowatt hour version, it's 4698. And then you look at the vehicle length for this one is 4720. And the only difference besides the weight that I could see, and this was everything that was in the ADR approval, right? So there's no more information than what I'm showing you guys, is that to have that bigger battery, for some reason, unless it's a typo, the car is actually longer with the bigger battery. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? Let's speculate in the comments. Is it a user error, entry error, or do you think it could potentially be actually something else? And have you guys seen that before? Because this is the first time that I've seen that, because of a very different in variation of vehicle, the size is actually different. I've always seen them to be the same. But anyway, if you do know, drop it in the comments below. We're going to keep moving on. Alright, so the Deepal S07, we've covered this a couple of times, and as you can see in this photo down the bottom, the cars are now officially in the country. So customer test drives and deliveries are commencing at 4 retail locations across Sydney and Melbourne. Those are the 4 dealerships that you see there, so in Parramatta, in Sydney's North Shore, Melbourne City, and in Doncaster. You'll also see that down the bottom, or in the middle section here, but down the bottom of the first screenshot, is that Deepal Australia will continue to expand its network into Queensland, South Australia and Western Australia in Q1 2025, with location announcement to be made shortly. So what that means, as soon as I find out or I catch wind of the locations, I will absolutely be sharing with all of you. Other thing that they've announced as part of all of this is the service plan. So it is actually a cap pricing. It's 7.5 years cap pricing service program. So it's 7.5 years total. And the reason why this looks odd and doesn't match by 12 months is because the first check at the 6-month point in time in terms of ownership of the vehicle is free, and then it's every 12 months after that. That's how they got to 7.5 years. So yeah, there's all the figures down the bottom, as you can see there. The one that strikes me odd is it does look quite similar to figures that you would see in traditional ICE cars, where usually the first 1 or 2 services is actually on the lower end, and then you get hit with a big service, which is a lot more, probably about double to triple the price. So yeah, it's just odd. Now I'm saying it's odd because it's my opinion that I don't understand what's included in those. I will endeavor to find out though, to see what's actually included in those services, so you guys can actually understand ownership costs and what you're actually paying for if and when you are taking your car for a service. Either way, I've done the calculations down the bottom so you guys can see there. Total servicing costs over 7.5 years is $2,984.43, which means the average cost in terms of servicing for this specific car is about $397.92. So yeah, what do you guys think? Do you guys have one on order? I did see it at the EV Auto Show and I thought it looked alright. I'm not too sure how it drives yet, so we'll have to get our hands on it one day, but yeah, that's about it. Let's keep moving on. Volkswagen, so the ID4, ID5, you can see there will be both regular Pro and high performance versions of the ID4 and ID5 available. Apparently, they are finally set to launch in Australia. So this is going to be in March 2025. Now this is actually quite delayed actually. It's supposed to have launched this year in around Feb or March. So it's pretty much a year later that they've been delayed. So numerous different setbacks, drawbacks, whatever you want to call it, for reasons that we actually do not know. However, they do say that they're potentially going to launch during that time. And you can see they will include a new 210 kilowatt 545 Newton meter electric motor in wheel drive models, which includes an increase in range as well as new charging and thermal management. We don't have any other details as yet. That's literally all we know. We don't have confirmed specs besides what you see on the screen there. We don't know what other features it has. We don't know how fast the charging speeds are going to be, and how different that would potentially be from overseas markets. So I'm not going to speculate at all. And yeah, so the one thing I do want to know is, would you guys get one? And if you were to buy one, what would be your price point? Let's take some guesses down in the comments below and see how accurate we are once they actually announce what the pricing is going to be. My personal perspective, I think this car will be about $65,000 plus on-road costs. So yeah, we'll see how close they get to that. Hopefully it's going to be on the lower side, because they're going to need to if they're going to compete with the likes of the Model Y, the Xpeng G6, and a lot of other great cars that are coming at that size. But fingers crossed, we'll see. Let's take some guesses. Drop it in the comments below, guys. And while we're on that topic, before we switch to the next one, if you guys are enjoying this content, please do ensure you subscribe, hit the bell icon so you guys get notified every time I post one of these new videos. Alright, let's move on. Audi Q8 e-tron. Have you guys actually ever seen one on the road? I am on the road almost every single day and I have not seen one of these on the road. Anyway, this is apparently one of the first electric vehicles that that Audi is going to discontinue. So not introduce, that they are going to discontinue. And the reason why they're going to discontinue this, you can see here, they're actually going to look at closing the actual factory. So they're saying that the plant in Brussels, Belgium, that builds the Audi Q8 e-tron will cease production by February 28th, 2025. So they've actually got roughly 2 months left, essentially, before they're going to close it. Some of the comments, and I'll just read it out loud word for word from what I've seen or what I've taken from the Car Expert website. Audi has previously said that the Brussels plant has had various long-standing structural challenges, with a layout that's difficult to change given its close proximity to the city centre, as well as high logistic costs. Slow sales for the Q8 e-tron obviously doomed the factory. Audi confirmed in July that a global decline in customer orders in the electric luxury segment affected its Q8 e-tron. So what have they done to combat that? They have released the Q6 e-tron, including the SQ6. They've also got the Q4 e-tron that I did show you guys a video a couple of weeks ago. So obviously the ultra high end has suffered in terms of sales. So now they're introducing ones that are smaller in the market. Still, of course, 5 seats, still an SUV, and hopefully they're going to try pull some customers back from that end. But either way, their cars are still, as a luxury car, as a luxury brand, they're still very, very expensive, and they've got to actually pick up a better fight. They've got to do, I guess, a lot more training. They've got to offer a lot more, because all of these companies from China and even other brands, they're building such a compelling car with so many features that you can get, compared to ticking boxes for a lot of European cars that you traditionally do. But yeah, that's the one unfortunate news that we've got so far. It's not news that we've got cars coming. This is news for the car that is actually pretty much dying. So yeah, that's the news for Audi. So let's keep moving on. If you guys are an old school rally car lover, or you're a Renault hot hatch lover, you guys would love this. Look at that. Look at the wide flared out. It just mind-boggling. It looks amazing. That's all I can say. When I saw it, I was like, if that was sold real, I would so want to buy one. Now, not too many specs, as it's obviously a just a modern take as a concept car. It's a modern take on the Renault 5 and Turbo 2 of the 1980s, with obviously a different powertrain, which is all-wheel drive. The only specs we know is everything that I've actually put up on the screen. So 373 kilowatts of power, 0 to 100 in 3.5 seconds, 980 kilograms, so it's under a ton. This thing will be flying. And 42 kilowatt hour battery. So it doesn't need Doesn't need a big battery at all. It's 980 kilos. So I guess in the words or in the concept of a really good sports car, lightweight, great handling. Look at I guess the Lotus sports cars. That's essentially what they're doing. Over here though, dual motor, all-wheel drive, big power, lightweight. What could go wrong? You'd have fun for days. The only thing that I would change realistically is the size of those wheels look hideous. Obviously this is just a concept model, so it's not going to be real. But if that was real, you know, I definitely want to drop the wheels by like 2 inches. Get more rubber there, you know, give it more of a rally look. But yeah, this is just a concept. So fingers crossed they actually do something and they bring it to life. Even if it looks almost like that, you know, you're going to have a lot of happy customers. But either way, that's all the news that we have on the Renault 5 Turbo 3E. iCar. You would have thought that I'm talking about an Apple product or an Apple car. Nope. And funny enough, because Apple is a fruit, this belongs to Chery. Even though it's not spelt like the fruit cherry, it belongs to Chery. So Chery owns iCar, not Apple. Either way, this is Chery's sub-brand called iCar, and they've basically revealed a car that looks, I guess, like the Land Rover Defender or the Mercedes G-Wagon. So size-wise, it actually looks massive, but I had a look at some of the dimensions, and actually it's supposedly smaller than Chery's Moda E5, which I guess if you guys aren't too familiar with that, think of it like the size of a Tesla Model Y. It's slightly smaller than that. Now, 2 specs that you can see here on screen. You've got an entry spec and a flagship spec. Pause the screen there if you guys want to see it or read it in more detail. I'm not going to read through line by line. But the one thing I guess to call out is this is more of an FYI for you guys if you are in Australia. And the reason why I say it's just an FYI is because Chery hasn't announced any plans to export the iCar models into Australia or any of that brand actually. So at the moment it's just Chery as a brand in Australia. No confirmation, nothing at all around bringing the iCar brand over here. So it's just an FYI. But do you guys think it looks cool, or do you feel like it's just more ripping off a total design? I feel like the back really looks like the G-Wagon. The front, not so much. Those lights remind me more of a Toyota FJ Cruiser. What do you guys think of the iCar V23? Do you guys like it? If it did come here, if it was, say, 1.5 times that price, so say it was about $33,000 for the entry level, say $43,000 for the next spec up, is that going to be of interest? I feel like this is going to be a car that's going to be competing with the likes of like your Suzuki Jimny or the Jimny XL. So yeah, and hopefully if it does ever come here, it's a capable off-roader, because I know that's what a lot of people like. They want a compact SUV, they can take off-road, they can have a lot of fun. Let's keep moving on. The next one here we have the BYD. I don't have a name for it. It's the BYD Porsche 911 rival. That's literally what the website from carnewschina.com said. Now, this is basically been spotted. Now, the call out is the version that you can see spotted actually, and shows over here, has no headlights, also has no rear bumper. So from the back, apparently there was there was a note on the website that said there was exposed orange coloured high voltage cables. So this obviously means it is an EV. Now interestingly, they're saying that the front end of this 2-door sports car reminds us of the latest design language of BYD's Denza brand. So down the bottom right, I've got the Denza Z9 GT. So they're saying that looks fairly similar. Now originally though, the BYD rival was spotted in China as a 2-door sports car. The predecessor was the Feng Cheng Bao Super 9 concept, which is this bottom left car you see over here, along with the top car over here. So yeah, they're clearly working on a rival. We don't have any other details. They're calling it a Porsche 911 rival, so we're going to have to wait. I'm sure we will hear more. I'm very confident we will hear more about this car in 2025. So as always, I'll get you guys posted. Okay, and the last one here, the ZEEKR 007 Wagon. Did you guys even know they were working on one? I totally didn't. So yeah, some dimensions there, 4865mm by 1900 by 1450. Rear drive is 310 kilowatts. You've got the all drive variant, which adds on 165 kilowatts to the front, which means you've got a total of 475 kilowatts. Battery, you've got two battery types. You've got the 75 kilowatt hour golden brick from ZEEKR themselves. You've also got the 100 kilowatt hour CATL Sealion battery pack, which is obviously from CATL. It's not one designed and made by ZEEKR themselves. However, the choice is probably going to be the golden brick, and the reason why is because this is ZEEKR developed, and it's claimed to be the fastest charging battery that is currently available in the world. That's right, I said it, in the world. So it's a 5.5C battery, and it apparently can do 10 to 80% state of charge in 10.5 minutes. So I don't know about you guys who've had or still driving ICE cars, but on a busy day when it is cheap to fill up petrol, it can take way more than 10.5 minutes to fill up your car. Yes, it's not to 100% or it's full tank. I get it. But 10.5 minutes is so quick. You know, if you've got kids, I guarantee you cannot take your kids to the bathroom when you're charging, come back, and I say kids, 10.5 minutes. You know, sometimes you might want to say, you know, let's go duck out for lunch while we're charging the car. 10.5 minutes. This starts to mean that, you know, you may as well just wait there for 10.5 minutes and then get going. You don't need to actually do anything else because you won't have time to do anything else unless you want to actually charge to 90 or 100. But either way, have a look at the pictures and the renders. So this render was from a company called Sugar Design, or maybe it's a person, I don't know. But look how accurate it is. So this is obviously the camouflage version that has been spotted, and the renders are the top ones, but look how alike it is. I think they've hit the mark. They've really hit the mark. It looks so alike it. But it's great to see that there is a wagon coming, because I love wagons. My favourite wagon of all time would have been the Audi RS6 as I was growing up. And so I've always had a soft spot for wagons in the EV world. Obviously the Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo. And yeah, hopefully they're going to bring more wagons next year. I'm really looking forward to that, because we have only seen lately SUVs, 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 Model Y competitors, SUVs, you know. Almost every single week I feel like I'm talking, and here's another Model Y competitor, and here's another Model Y competitor. Let's bring out some more wagons. ZEEKR, bring this to Australia, along with all of your other cars. That's all I have to say. Anyways, what do you guys think? Do you guys like the wagon? And if the 007 was here, which one would be your choice? Would you get the sedan, which is a 007, the SUV, which is, I guess, the 7X, or the wagon? My choice? Wagon. Any day of the week. I would not need to think twice. What about you? Let me know. Okay. Guess what? That brings us to the end of the weekly EV wrap for 2024. Again, thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, give the video a thumbs up. It's going to help my channel go a long way. Also, consider subscribing if you haven't. Big thank you to viewers, subscribers, channel members, all you guys for watching all of this content the entire time over the past 6 or 7 months, however long I've been doing it. I've got 27 episodes, 27 weeks essentially. So for me, it's time to take a break from doing these weekly wraps for a little while, at least just over this Christmas break, and we will definitely be resuming. The one thing I do ask is, if you guys have any feedback on content, I guess format, anything like that, please do let me know, because at the end of the day, I make these videos for you guys. I enjoy doing this. I love reading about cars. I actually do that in my own spare time anyway, even if I didn't do this. So if there's anything you guys feel like would be improved, or there's more specific content you guys want to see or not see, or you want me to cover, I guess, plug-in hybrids as an example, you know, let me know. I'm totally open to all opinions, and yeah. So that's it from me. You guys will still see a couple of videos from me before we wrap up the end of the year, but from the EV news wrap side of things, we're done. 2024 is coming to a close. So again, massive thank you to all of you. Appreciate all your support. Have a good break. I'll still see you in a couple of videos. Otherwise, stay safe, have a good break, and we'll see you soon.